Hi guys, I'm Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a little bit again since I filmed a video. I've just been kind of going through a lot, but I wanted to film a get ready with me. So that's what I'm going to do. It's Saturday and I woke up at 10 a.m. today, which is really early for me. Normally I'm not out of bed till like noon. So, I guess on weekends I'm out of bed earlier, but today I wanted to get up early. But Brian and I are gonna go and get breakfast together. We're gonna go down to like a little healthier like shop that's down the road from us. They sell like acai bowls and like chicken wraps and stuff. So I think we're gonna go get an acai bowl for breakfast. And then we also have to go grocery shopping. We have to go to Costco. So I just kind of wanted to do my makeup today because it's not very often that I get to do my makeup. Not that I don't get to, it's just I'm really lazy when I have to work. So I just don't do it. But anyways, I'm excited to have an acai bowl because we haven't had one in a really long time. And theirs are really freaking good. And I just like never really get to go there because they have like really weird hours. So I'm not even sure what time they close today. I'm going to look quick. They close at 1 p.m. today, so we'll be able to make it in time. But Brian is still currently sleeping. He stayed up kind of late, so he's going to sleep in a little bit longer, but that's okay because that'll give me time to get ready. But yeah, so I guess kind of a little health update for you guys. I decided to get a sleep study done, and first it was like a consultation, which I haven't had the actual sleep study yet. But the consultation, the girl said I have a lot of red flags and she believes I might have sleep apnea. She's not sure if it's mild, moderate, or severe. But I had that and that was pretty scary, obviously, because you never want to hear that you have sleep apnea. I know like any person, any size can have sleep apnea. Like I know someone who's really skinny that has sleep apnea. It just depends on like your airways and like, your weight. Like weight can affect it. But in this instance, she thinks it's my weight. Yeah, just waiting to get my sleep study done. They're probably going to call me hopefully by next week. I really hope so. But pretty sure I just have to wear like a watch. And then I have to wear a finger pulse oximeter or whatever that thing's called. Yeah, a little bit scared and worried for that. But otherwise, health-wise, like things have been okay. I got my blood work done again and my A1C was really good, which determines if you're diabetic or not, I'm pretty sure. My glucose was lower this time than it was last July, so that was really good. My cholesterol is still pretty much the same, which I haven't really been working on that lately, but I do need to work on getting my cholesterol lower, but everything else was really good, actually. I was talking about how my vitamin D was like a 5.4, and that is literally the lowest that my doctor has ever seen it. And now I think it's like a 25.9 or something like that. So it actually did go up a lot by taking my 50,000 IU. Sorry, I'm trying to find a makeup or a eyeshadow brush, but I can't find one. I just found these two random ones. But anyways, so she prescribed me another 50,000 IU to take for 8 weeks. So I actually forgot to go pick that up. So I have to go do that today. But yeah, gonna take that prescription for another 8 weeks and hopefully that will make me feel less tired during the day. But I guess like all of the symptoms that she was telling me that like people experience with sleep apnea just kind of like confirmed to me that that's what I have, because I always thought that it was like, hi Cookie. I always thought that it was anxiety, but yeah, apparently it was sleep apnea the whole time. Because like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced this, but I've always been a really, really anxious person my whole life. Like I've always had horrible anxiety, like whatever. And I have this thing happen to me where when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, and it's not even when I'm fully asleep, it's like when I'm trying to fall asleep, I like feel like I can't breathe. I kind of like jolt up and I like gasp for air. And I don't know, I always thought that it was related to anxiety because I was reading on Reddit, people have like the same experience with like nighttime panic attacks, where if you're feeling super, super anxious, you are trying to fall asleep and then you just all of a sudden like jolt up out of your sleep. And it's not really when you're fully asleep, it's just kind of like you're trying to sleep and then it happens. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it kind of feels like you're like holding your breath, but then you get up and like you're like, oh shit, like I need to take a breath. I don't know. It's really hard to explain unless you've experienced it before. But I was looking on Reddit, looking on TikTok, and a lot of people have experienced that with nighttime panic attacks. And they said that once they started taking like a certain medication for anxiety, it went away. But yeah, that is scary when it happens. And this whole past week, I've been extremely, extremely stressed. And my anxiety has been over the roof because, you know, having to do the sleep study consultation, I thought she was going to tell me, oh, like everything's just related to anxiety, everything's fine. But the fact that she told me everything was red flags, like, I'm not going to lie, I literally cried all morning after my appointment because it was a virtual video call. So that made it a lot better than having to like go in person. But after I got off the call, I just started crying and bawling, and like, it's just stressful, you know? And then after work, when I got home, I started crying again because it's like there's just so much stuff I feel like that's going on and happening that I feel like it's one thing after another. And yeah. So that kind of sucks, but hopefully it's not severe sleep apnea, which I don't think it is because obviously I sleep next to Brian every night and he's never once noticed me like stop breathing or like gasping for air, or like I don't snore really loud. Like if I ever snore, it's very quiet. And that's really if I'm like in a deep sleep. But sometimes I do wake up with like a really dry mouth and like I feel like I slept with my mouth open all night, and I know sometimes that can be a sign. But I know some people can just be mouth breathers. I know that, but typically I'm not. So sometimes if I wake up with my mouth really dry, then I kind of feel like I'm tight-chested a little bit, which that can be a sign of sleep apnea. So that's kind of stressful. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Like health-wise, I guess. Everything else has been pretty good. Just, you know, got our yard work done last week. We mowed and like cleaned up all the weeds and picked up all the sticks and did all that crap. This eyeshadow was really dark, but yeah, did all the stuff that we needed to do. It was really nice actually because I know it's been needing to get done, but I just haven't done it yet, or we haven't done it yet. But it was really nice that it did get done because it actually felt nice. It was really nice outside. It was probably like in the 50s or 60s. So it was nice. I liked it. I thought it was fun, and we actually did it on a Sunday, which is kind of surprising because normally we don't like to do stuff like that on Sunday. But we knew it had to be done, so we had to. And I'm glad we did because now our yard looks really nice. We have like a little circle flower bed thing. Flower garden, I guess you could call it, that has like rocks around it. That's just in the ground. And every year we try to like pick back up those rocks and like fluff them up and like, you know, put them above the dirt. So that way they don't look like they're sunken in. And we did that again this last time, and I feel like it looks so much better than any other year because we actually fully like took the rocks out, fluffed up the dirt, and then we raked all the shit out of there. So there's just like a couple flowers that were growing in it, so we left those two. But otherwise we ripped everything else out, and unfortunately there was other flowers in there that Brian didn't know were flowers, so he accidentally ripped those out, which is fine. But I think I'm going to see probably next weekend if Menards has some flower packets yet, because I know sometimes like they don't have them until spring-ish, which I know it's spring right now, but I heard my coworker talking about how like nowhere had any flower seeds. So hopefully they have some when we go. But just gonna plant some like flower seeds that come up every year, because that's what we've been doing the last couple years, but I feel like they haven't really grown very often. I don't know if maybe it's just because they're not watered enough or what, but I mean, I guess it could be the type of soil too, possibly. I don't know. I don't really know much about gardening or flowers or anything, so I'm not sure if it's something that we're doing or if it's just, you know, that. But that's pretty much about it, like health-wise. You know, like I said, everything's been good. Still been having a really difficult time with the loss of ham and bacon, because I know some of you will relate that dogs are like your kids, and even though they were my mom's dogs, they were still like my kids. Like it felt like they were, because I grew up with them and I took care of them whenever my mom like wasn't around, or, you know, like camping or something. Like if she was out camping or going tubing or something, like I would go to her house and spend time with the boys. And yeah, I just really enjoyed being around them. And it really sucks that the time went by so fast, because we got Ham, I think, back in 2009, and he passed away when he was 16 and a half years old, which is a really long life for a dog. I know that. And we kind of like expected that that would happen, because he was already kind of in heart failure. He had like a horrible heart murmur. And he actually lived a lot longer than we thought he would, because last April in 2025, we thought we were going to have to put him to sleep because of how many issues he was having with his heart. But we had an at-home vet come to my mom's house, and she prescribed him she prescribed him one medication that was for his heart, and he was so much better. I mean, not so much better, but he was a lot better after she gave us that. He actually lived a lot longer than we thought he would, because we thought we were going to have to put him to sleep back in April. So him living another 9 months, was really good. I took out that other eyeshadow because I didn't like it. And not that I really like the gold, but at least I can kind of cover it up mostly with eyeliner. But Ham got a lot better after that pill. And then I think it was November, he was having some issues again where he kept coughing and it kind of sounded like phlegmy. And I know they say that when dogs with bad heart murmurs have that happen when they're like, you know, older or whatever, that could be a sign of heart failure. So we called the vet, and she came to the house, and she confirmed that there was fluid in his lungs and said that he was in heart failure, which I'm kind of confused by this, because I think they say that if you have a bad heart murmur, then you're already in heart failure, but I don't know. I don't know how that all works, but she said he was in heart failure and that she could give us a pill to help get rid of the fluid in his lungs. So we put him on that pill, and he was getting better. He wasn't coughing as much, but Ham had like really inflamed eyes all the time, and like they were really eye boogery and like just like bloodshot red. So we had to constantly put ointment in them. Like we would do it for like 2 weeks, and then we would stop. Once it got bad again, do it for another 2 weeks, and they would get better, but then they would get worse again. So we were also having to do that. And then he got a little bit better with that fluid pill, but not obviously as well as we wanted him to. But back in February, we took him to the vet. I think it was like the beginning of February. We took him to the emergency vet because because he was spinning in circles, and he was like tilting his head like this and spinning in circles. And this was after he had just thrown up. And sometimes, like, when the boys would throw up because they had shorter snouts, they would, like, kind of choke on their bile. And that's what Ham did that day. And he was kind of, like, spinning in circles. And, like, I know that sometimes that can be a sign of, like, something neurological happening in your brain. So I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, this isn't normal. Like, there's something going on with him inside of his brain or something. Because I'm like, he shouldn't be spinning in circles and like tilting his head to one side. Come on, honey. Cookie wanted to come say hi. Oh my god, big boy. Oh, okay. He just wants to go to the window. Anywho, so you're so silly. So we took him to the emergency vet that day, and they pretty much just said that I don't think they found fluid in his lungs that day, or they did. I can't really remember. I don't think they did. But they pretty much just said that he was stable enough to bring him home, but they recommended us to possibly put him to sleep because his quality of life and everything. But my mom had said, she's like, I don't think he's ready. She's like, because he seems like, alert, and he's like, looking at us and stuff. She's like, I just don't think he's ready. She's like, I don't, whatever. So we took him home, and I'm thankful that we did because, obviously we got a little bit more time with him, but probably about like a month or 3 weeks later or something, we ended up having to put him to sleep. So we took him to the emergency vet again, and because my mom had called me, I think at like 8 in the morning or something, or 7 in the morning. And she was like, hey, I'm going to have to go put Ham to sleep today. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, she's like, because Ham being 16, obviously we wanted him to eat, and we would really give him anything so he could eat. Like, my mom would buy like those microwavable Quick Trip meals that had like mashed potatoes and gravy and all that stuff in it, and he would occasionally eat those. But he was so freaking picky. Like, my mom would buy him so much food, and she would buy like a bunch of those meals and warm like all those up, and like he wouldn't even want to touch them. So she was like wasting money, not wasting money, but she was spending a lot of money on like trying to feed him so he could like eat. And he was just so freaking picky that he like wouldn't eat any of that stuff. So, Cookie, I'm gonna have to put you down because I gotta get ready, buddy. I gotta put you down so I can get ready. I'm a little boy. Look at his feet. He's so handsome. So he wasn't eating that day, and like I said, he wouldn't eat like anything ever. So that day, every morning and every night with his pills, my mom would put a little chunk of cheesecake with the pill, and he would devour it. He loved cheesecake, he loved sweets, he loved cinnamon rolls, he loved every kind of dessert. And that morning he would not take the cheesecake. And even when he wasn't feeling good, he would always take the cheesecake. So my mom said that whenever he doesn't eat that cheesecake, that's when she knows that he's done. So we took him to the vet, and he was like very, very tired. You could tell that he just was not all there. And, you know, when I went there, he like looked at me, whatever, and I like pet him or whatever, but you could just tell that he was tired, like just tired, being 16 and a half and having all those health issues. And so we took him to the vet and we put him to sleep, and it was hard, obviously, because he was my first ever dog in my whole entire life, and we got him when I was 12, and now I'm going to be 29, so it's like we had him for a long part of my life, and Ham and Bacon were like all I've ever known. And I know some of you can relate to this, and I know some of you may not, because I know some people view dogs as just like a pet, or like as like an animal, like just, oh, it's just a pet, like whatever. But I viewed the boys, and I view my cats as my family, as, you know, I view my cats as my kids, and I would do anything and everything for them. And losing Ham and Bacon was really hard on me, and I know it's really hard on my mom too. But yeah, so that was a really traumatic day, and obviously we put him to sleep on the 28th of February, and the 27th was the 8-month mark that Bacon had passed away. So it hadn't even been a year yet since Bacon passed away, and it was on his 8-month anniversary. Then the next day, we had to put Ham to sleep. So it's like, couldn't even get at least a year, which I know it's not Ham's fault. Like, he lived a lot longer than we thought he would. And he was a fighter, and he really did a lot to try and stick around. And I'm glad that we got the time that we did with him, because he was just a sweet little innocent baby. And it just sucked because obviously, like, my mom and I were still grieving Bacon. You know, I'm still grieving Bacon really, you know, a lot. And that's already been hard. So having to go through that with Ham, and, you know, because I think I told you guys the story about being in the room with Ham, or with Bacon, when he passed away. That was obviously really traumatic for me, and I ended up leaving the room halfway through the procedure, and I didn't fully, like, I got to say goodbye, but after he was gone, I didn't necessarily get to say goodbye. I ended up leaving the room, and I wish I wouldn't have left. I wish I would have stayed for the whole thing, but I stayed for the whole thing with Ham until he was fully gone, and it's hard, obviously, like, seeing that happen. And I've actually like talked to Brian about possibly seeing a therapist or something, because I know some people may view that as like, oh, you're such a fucking baby, like they're just dogs and like whatever, but they were my family and they were a part of my life for 16 and a half years, and Bacon was in my life for 14 years, so it's like they were like my babies too, and they were my best friends. Like anytime I was feeling down or sad, like I just, wanted to just hug them and kiss them and give them love, because that's like what made me feel better. And I know I have that with my cats, obviously. Like my cats make me feel better too, but like with Ham and Bacon, they're all I've ever known my whole life. So that was really hard, but I kind of thought about seeing a therapist, because obviously, like, I've never ever lost, knock on wood, anything that's been really close to me my whole life. I've lost like a kitten, I lost a hamster, and I lost a puppy when I was younger. But not that those still weren't sad deaths, because any pet death is really sad, because they're obviously innocent creatures and they don't deserve to go through anything like that. I'm not even getting ready, I'm literally just talking. So let me try and speed through my eyeliner and then I'll be back. Okay, I got my eyeliner done. But anyways, I was gonna say that I know to some people it may seem like it's dramatic or whatever, but to me, it's kind of like losing like a brother or a sister or a best friend or, whatever. And I think being in the room both times kind of traumatized me. So I have kind of talked to Brian about possibly seeing a therapist for something like that, because like it replays in my head a lot, and I know like I hold a lot of regret with some things. Not the time that I spent with them or anything, but just certain aspects, I do hold some regret with the way that things were handled and whatever. But I have thought about seeing a therapist, and I might end up doing that. I don't know. But I was going to say that I know some people view their pets, or, they view dogs as dogs, and they think they're stupid. They think that they don't have feelings. They think whatever. But until you get really close to a dog, you'll never understand, ever. And I loved Ham and Bacon so much. And they were our little babies. They were so sweet and just so innocent. And they were the perfect, precious little boys. I like to use the fan for my eyelashes when I'm doing them, because it kind of dries them and makes them, go up more. Because if I don't, then they just kind of like droop down. But anyways, I was going to say, everybody grieves differently. There's different types of grieving, and it depends on the person and how long it takes them to grieve. And not that I'm not grieving Ham, I still obviously am, but Bacon was obviously a lot harder, because his was not expected at all, where Ham's, we kind of expected this to happen, and like we said, he lived a lot longer than we thought he would, where Bacon, had a tumor explode on his liver and lost him 10 days later. So with that, it, was my first ever long-term death that I've ever experienced. And I know, like, if anything were to ever happen to my parents, just anybody who's close to me, I know that it's going to be a lot harder than it is for dogs, But for right now, this is all I've ever lost, and I'm still in the grieving process. So, yeah. But other than that, everything else has been pretty good. Like I said, Brian and I are going to go get breakfast, so he just got up. We're going to head out here soon, and I'm excited to eat an acai bowl. I love acai bowls. I remember I had my first ever one in Florida when I went with Jalen on vacation to Marco Island, and we went to this little shop and we ate outside, and I remember there was just like lizards walking around everywhere, and it was really cool getting to see something like that, because obviously here we don't have that kind of stuff. We have acai bowls, but not lizards or geckos or whatever. But it was really cool, just like, I don't know. They were really creepy though, because they were kind of like flaring out their things. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, those acai bowls were freaking amazing in Florida. So when I came back here, I was looking for places that had acai bowls, and there wasn't really any around here. Oh, my camera's heating up. But there wasn't really any around here that, you know, were close to me. So I know they have like a place like probably about 40 minutes from me, but I don't want to drive that far just for an acai bowl. So it's really nice that there's some right down the road from me. But yeah, I'm going to try and hurry up because my camera's overheating and it might end up shutting off. But I'm going to try and finish my mascara and then we can end it. Anyways, I just have like a couple things left with my face, but I'm not sure. I've never had my camera overheat before, so it might shut off. But I'm just going to end it here anyways, just to be safe. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me rant. And if you guys can have ever related to me, comment down below and let me know. I would like to hear other people's experiences if you guys have ever gone through anything like this before. I know, like, obviously I'm not the only person who's ever lost a pet. So let me know, you know, how long it, well, not how long it took you guys to grieve, because obviously everybody grieves a different amount of time and you could grieve for 10 years. But just let me know if you guys can relate on anything. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below any video recommendations you guys have. Don't forget to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, let me know what you guys like to see next. Thank you. Bye.